What's up, everyone? This is the Demo Team Podcast. We're here with a very, very special guest. Ryan, why don't you take it away since I know you are a gigantic fan.
What's up, everybody? I'm hella excited because I'm sure Jeremy can attest to this because I've been bugging this Instagram page of theirs since it was a fan archive. But we have Jeremy Talley of the Bled here today. And if you don't know who the Bled is, you're freaking nuts because the Bled is everything. But we also have Mark Motley of the Arsing Choir. We'll have Ben from Batting Cages here in just a moment. He's just going to get a little scurried in here later. And we have Cash, our ever comparable host.
Oh, here's Ben.
But yeah, Jeremy, hi, welcome. The Bled.
Hey.
Yay!
Yes, thanks for having me, man. I'm glad we could finally get this together.
I know.
Yeah. Like, I don't think people realize how long like me and Jeremy have been like pen pals basically on Instagram. Like I have loved watching you guys go from a fan archive to a Furnace Fest, like Hype Fest, like page. And you guys are kind of just like chilling now. So what's going down?
It was never a like what you call a fan archive. Like we never wanted to allude that fans were running the page. I said a photo archive, I believe.
Yeah.
Which it just happens to be like 90% of the photos we took from fans. So it just kind of became that. And I had some like random stuff that I've had saved up for over the years. But yeah, it's been a blast. And I just kind of started that page out of nowhere one day. I was like, why isn't there anything about the Bled other than the members' personal pages? I'm like, I'll just do it and throw some whatever I can find on Google and searching Instagram and just taking people's photos, basically.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And like I remember it was like I want to say like 2019 where I discovered the page because I'm a huge Bled fan. I'm sure you know that by now. But just like the fact that like there was a place for me to go and see old footage, old YouTube videos, and just covers by like Microisms, and they're all like located on one hub. So it kind of gave me as a fan, and I'm sure Mark can attest to this because I'm sure he's a firm follower of the Bled AZ on Instagram.
Well, fully when we got footage for the last show, with a quote unquote last show at Chain, I tried to post that as much as I could, and it just kept on getting taken down and corrupted.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's weird. Horrible. Yeah, it's hard maintaining like information online nowadays for like because you guys have been around since like the dawn of the 2000s, so it's just kind of like there's a lot of stuff out there that like I think like a lot of fans are probably confused by this as well because like even like stuff that is per ban online is mislabeled. Because you got like Antarctica and My Assassin, which have for years been mislabeled as each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's at some point like I've always known that, and people have always asked me like, if we can fix it or something. I'm like, dude, the people that know, you know, they're not gonna get the songs confused. And the people that don't know is like, oh, they're getting the wrong title for a song. It was never been that big of a deal to me. It's annoying on an OCD level, but other than that, I got over it pretty quick. And it's not worth the headache to fix songs that I don't own the rights to or go through the label that we don't have contact with anymore and let them fix it or anything like that. So we just let it be.
Yeah, because I think people forget because that was I want to say you guys were on Ferret, correct?
No, we did Fiddler.
Like, but it's the same deal with Ferret that like those companies got bought up by bigger giant corporation type people that don't really have the same care that those small record labels had and like labeling everything correctly, you know?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And it's just one of them things. It's like, it sucks. Like, oh well, like
I don't know who the blame fell upon, whether it was the label or Spotify or you know, whatever streaming platform. I would assume it's the label since it's kind of across all platforms, but
yeah,
who knows? I don't care.
My only gripe, I would say, as a fan of the Bled, is I would just really like an HD version of the My Assassin video. You know what I mean? Because I saw that on Fuse, and that's what made me a fan of y'all. I saw that on Fuse TV like 2004, 2005. I was in Victorville, out in the middle of the desert, so it's very appropriate for the Bled to hear it for the first time in the middle of the desert. And I see this video, and I'm just like, damn, that is the coolest shit I have ever seen. Like. About the Bled for me, and I'm sure Mark and Ben and Cash can all attest as anyone who's listened to the Bled, is it's very heavy but melodic. And it's like you guys always throw like a bunch of different patterns that like traditionally it at the time and probably still to this day. I mean, mathcore has never been more popular now than I would say than it's ever been. But the Bled always brought like a very unique conviction to their music, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad that video worked on someone because it's my all-time least favorite video that we've ever done. And I was just kind of bummed out in general that was the first single for that record. Just a lot of like interpersonal feelings about the way that we rolled out on that record in general. I would have much preferred Last American Cowboy have been the first single from that record because I felt like it was a song that walked the listener a little more, who was fans of Pass the Flask. It kind of walked them into the new record and the new sounds that we were doing a little more comfortably than just hitting the audience with something that sounded nothing like we had done on Pass the Flask. So I would wish that that video was rushed and we never saw a treatment for it.
Yeah.
And it's basically just us in I think it was like a circular, if I remember right, curtained room. And then they had like random like stock footage of like bombs falling and stuff that had nothing to do with the songs really, or with the lyric content or anything like that, which is fine. But I just like, they were just like, here's the video here's the concept for the video that you're doing. And it was like basically day of. And at the end of it, we were just like, what did we just do? You know what I mean? It wasn't like, because any of the other videos that we had done, we'd kind of known what we were getting into ahead of time, and we were psyched on it. We were all on board with it. So that was the one song that always like left a bad taste in my mouth as far as how it was rolled out publicly. So I'm glad that you actually got into this because of that, because I've never heard that before. That's cool.
I mean, like me as a person, like, because it was 2000, 4 or 5, it was this time. War was on TV all the time. We grew up with Iraq coverage constantly, and the lyrics of that song are kind of like, a sniper in the shit kind of thing. And it was kind of like listening to that, seeing that footage, and kind of realizing at a young age, as a teenager, like, wow, this is just going to keep happening, huh? Like, it's been happening for years. War is just part of life.
Yeah. And
that's just what I took from it as a kid.
And see, we had no intentions of ever making that song about war as that it involved the world. It was more of a personal song. I didn't write the lyrics to that song. That's
James,
song.
obviously.
I can't speak to it, but
yeah, like the music itself is like an intense song, and it goes in through these soft, somber moments because it kind of like, to me, even with those little drum little feels, like that little thing, like that catchy as fuck, just like, like with the guitar riff. I kind of just felt like the cycles and waves of time, like just like, wow, this does just, it gets really extreme, gets soft, gets extreme. And it's like just how life had been presented to me at the time. I mean, that's just abstract thought. Obviously that wasn't your intention and shit like that, but
kind of, I mean, our intention with songwriting and in general has always been, we kind of view it like a movie where you want to have some ups and downs. There's acts, and then there's the payoff, which is the big thing that happens in the end. And then you kind of walk them out of the song. And that's kind of how we always approached songwriting, is what is this leading to, and what is the payoff? And then how do we walk out of it? You know what I mean? And that's just kind of how we've always approached songwriting. So, you have the setup, and then the verse parts are just kind of the middle part, and the chorus will bring you up. And then, like you said, the part with the snare fluttering and the part to bring you down before we hit you with the chops, and then the breakdown part. And so that's kind of how we always approach songwriting. Is I'm a big cinephile. I love movies. And so I've always tried to like incorporate that with our songwriting.
Hell yeah. And it's like, I know like most people are gonna, I'm sure you hear it a lot as of like, I run the Bled posting, that. I hear about like all the love for Pass the Flask. They're most of your top songs, but the top song on your guys' Spotify page is Last American Cowboy.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It's true. Got over plays. I mean, that song slaps, and you're right. Like, as a fan of Pass the Flask, that song on that album is basically like is the hand that holds you into like Found in the Flood.
Right.
That's the that holds you through the flood. That's like, this is the Bled. And anyone that like it was ever like, I'm a fan of all your work, like every album, every singer, all of it. I like Heat Fetish. Like, I'm sure there's people out there that go out of your way to tell you what they think about Heat Fetish. I myself for years was not like the hugest Heat Fetish. I was like, Rise Records, you know, that's great. Like, you guys like had From First to Last, now you have the Bled. And I kind of feel like Rise Records didn't do as much as they do for, say, like other bands at the time at their label for them. But I'm a fan of all your stuff. And to have you guys have a top song, like from
Rise actually treated us really, really, really well. And they let us produce, maybe to our detriment, let us self-produce that record. So we just had an engineer for that record and we produced it all ourselves. There was no outside mind helping us with that record, like I said, for better or worse. And how people feel about it, like I kind of just generally am just kind of, I like, once I get it out there, I don't care if people don't like it, you know what I mean? I always serve my own interests and hope for the best. And if people love it, that's awesome. And if not, we have 3 other records you can jam to, or there's a billion other bands that do what we do similarly that you might, you know, I don't know. It's too, and people's tastes and interests are so fickle, you know? So I don't take anything personal. So, but I'm glad that you dig Heat Fetish, and I loved making that record. I love a lot of the songs on that record. I'm not crazy about the production. Again, we did it ourselves, so it is what it is. But we had an awesome engineer for being like a local dude, and not like, you know, we didn't do that record with Bo or you know, Mark Trombino, who we did Found in the Flood with, or anything like that. We just jumped in and did a record ourselves. So that was really rewarding feeling to know that if this fails or passes, it's all on us. And we just put out something we were stoked about, and got a couple more years of touring out of it, and got to meet a lot more people along the way. And so I love that record, and I love that time period of the Bled. I loved the dudes that we brought in to replace the OGs, and I have no regrets about that record, and I will always stand by it. I love that record.
Hell yeah. Night Errors is probably one of my favorite Bled songs, period. You know, like Night Errors is sick. Thanks, like big, like Boneyard, all that shit. I'm a big fan. You mentioned Bo, who you guys got to work with again for the remaster of Silent Treatment, which personally, I'm gonna jump through your discog because I know everyone's gonna want Past the Flask.
Sure.
We all know I'm aware of the fandom's love for Past the Flask, but I want to give some love to Silent Treatment first. And you getting to work with Bo again must have been nice.
Well, it was nice because I think Bo is incredible, and he's somebody that gets better and better. Like every record, you can hear something that he has figured out, or whether it's gear related or production related. He is like obsessed with being a good producer, and that's who you want to produce your records. You don't want somebody who's comfortable. You want someone who is always going to push themselves. And Bo has always gone out of his way to help me personally with my other projects. And I, of course, jumped at the chance as soon as he said that he would do the remix for Silent Treatment. We were all for it, and it just kind of happened by accident because we got, I got a text from our old booking agent who works closely with Vagrant Records on their vinyl distribution these days, and he said that they wanted to put out re-release Silent Treatment and Found in the Flood on vinyl. Ooh. And I know that Ross had recently just got the masters from Saladay Studios, and it just worked out that both of those things happened simultaneously. Ross got the masters, and Andrew Ellis, our booking agent, said they wanted to do the re-release. So we said, why don't we have see if we can have Bo remix it and give it a little something special, a little more enticing than just a re-release. Here's the record on a different color of vinyl than it was out on before.
Yeah.
We want to do something a little different, and then we went above and beyond and had it remixed and completely remastered. And I think it's awesome. Throughout that remix, there were literally things on it that I had never heard in my life. I had no idea that there was like I can't even think of a glockenspiel, like the wood thing that you hold and it's got the ridges and you brush a stick over it.
Yeah.
That's on one of the songs. I was like, what?
Where was
It's on Breathing Room Barricades. There's a little part in it where you hear this like, and it keeps doing that. And I'm like, what is that? And then Bo is like, I think it's a glockenspiel or some other instrument. And
found in your mix.
And then there was like a vocal part that was buried in the mix on Starving Artiste that I had never heard before until Bo brought it out. I was like, I literally had no idea that was on there, that James was doing this like quiet, like low whispery part over like the build up on the toms in the middle of the song right before the breakdown hits. And it was cool to hear stuff I'd never heard on that record. And that's not to say that the first mix wasn't awesome. I like the mix of the first record, but I think that Bo really brought out the drums, and I could hear a lot of the nuance and the fills a lot better. And
I agree with that. I think because I still listen. There are songs that I prefer to listen to in the original recording, just because Shade Tree Mechanics, for some reason, just the way the mix is focused. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with either mix. I think they just focus on different things. And
exactly.
And I just like, for the song that Shade Tree Mechanics is, I prefer the original, like just like the thwomp of it. I feel
I'm the opposite. I really like the new mix on it because of the detail in the drums. I really like. I think, and I'm not just saying this because he's one of my best friends in the world, but I think Petticone is otherworldly at drums. He is. There's not enough complimentary adjectives I can throw at his name, and as a person as well. He's my brother, and. But man, to hear the detail in the drums on that record, it just.
I agree with that sentiment that on the first Silent Treatment, it'd get a little buried in the mix on other stuff. And I've seen his like, I can hear myself now. And I just like to see him happy about that.
Right.
And I wanted to bring that up because, working with Bo on Silent Treatment was like a callback to Pass the Flask, which is like before your EP with the prior singer, like Pass the Flask was basically like how the world became to know you at the Bled, because Bo Burchill, who, if you're not aware of what that name is that we've been mentioning for the last couple of minutes, that's the guitar player, backing vocalist of Seosin. So how did that come about, and how did like getting to make like Pass the Flask after working with your prior singer on the EP, which is included on like reissues of Pass the Flask these days? How'd that happen?
So we signed with Fiddler, and Fiddler Records, I think, was in the process of trying to sign what would become Seosin, and they didn't have a name at this point. And the demo that the label used to show us the production of what Bo is capable of was a demo of 7 years off of Seosin's EP minus the vocalist, because Anthony Green wasn't in the band yet. It was just instrumental. And we were like, man, this sounds a million times better than what we did. So we met up with Bo. And then when I met Bo, he looked super familiar to me. And I was like, man, I don't know where I know this dude from. And then it dawned on me that he played guitar for a short time, I believe, in this band called Open Hand, which I was a big fan of at the time.
Hell yeah.
And he was they did a tour, and I went to go see them in Phoenix, which is a couple hours north of me. And I went to go see Open Hand play at this venue called Boston's. And Bo stood out to me as just an awesome guitar player with cool stage presence. And, they all had like at the time it was cool to have like rack mount gear, and your amp looked like you had a computer system on stage with you. And I'm like, dude, this dude is awesome. And so it dawned on me who Bo was. And so I was just super amped to get to the drum studio on the first day. And yeah, man, we hit it off. And it was our first, like the guy who did his first Crush EP, which was essentially just our demo that we released. His name is Bob Hogue. And he didn't do any digital recording. It was all tape. And so that was our only really real experience with recording, was to tape. And tape is cool because you get a griminess. And when you do cuts, you do literal cuts. You cut the tape, and you know what I mean? It's like, it keeps you on your toes. And we were, none of us were really godsends at our instruments other than Petticone. And he really got us to another level musically, personally, with our instruments. And to go from that to working with Bo in this, like in California at a super nice drum or recording studio to get the drums down. And it was just like mind blowing for us, because we were essentially a local band that had done like a show with Recover in Austin, Texas, and then a show with a Static Lullaby in California. And other than that, we hadn't even really been out of town much. Yeah. And so it was like, you know, when you get into a real studio after being just quote unquote a local band, it's it was a mind-blowing experience. And then from there we just started touring with Bo, because Seosin got together shortly after that. They got Anthony, and we met Anthony while we were tracking Pass the Flask. They had just joined the band. And so we were just kind of bonding with that whole experience. And then, you know, we did a tour with Seosin and Boys Night Out. Nice. It was basically our first real tour ever. And then from there on out, we, you know, as both bands grew, we toured with Seosin 4 or 5 times after that. And so, and Bo would mix us like live on those tours that we did with him, just because he likes keeping busy during shows and he likes mixing bands. So Bo knows the Bled and how we should sound, I guess, if there is that sort of thing. He would know better than anyone. And so it was a no-brainer to have him do the remix. And there's a part of me that wishes we could have done all of our records with him, just because, like I said, he's obsessed with getting better. And that's exactly who you want to work with.
I mean, you have 2 other records that don't have the Bo treatment.
Oh, you know what? We've looked into that. So we've looked into trying to get the masters from Mark Trombino, who did Found in the Flood, who is an insane producer in his own right. Like, when we got Mark Trombino, I'm not trying to jump producers here on you, but when we got Mark Trombino to do to us, like he had done Finch, and he had done Blink 182 and all these bands. Like, most importantly to me, he had done every Jimmy Eat World record to that point, who I'm like obsessed with that band still. And to get him to agree to do our record was just like amazing to us. So where I was like, oh yeah. So we tried to get the masters from him, and he said that they're like long gone. He doesn't, either they got lost or they got damaged or something, and they're long gone. And then I just don't think that there's a really big need or want to remix Fetish, just based on like what the audience wants, I guess. Like if we did, I think the record is, because it's our most recent, and I don't know. I don't know. There wasn't a ton of layering on it, so I'm not sure exactly how it would get improved upon without us completely re-recording those songs. And also, obviously, the lineup that we would have is not the same people, so that's not a possibility. But
I mean, there's always the possibility. I mean, you said Bo likes recording in a live setting. I mean, if you guys get bored one day, you guys find yourself in the same room, hey, maybe record a live album. I mean,
it wouldn't be a Heat Fetish. for sure it wouldn't be a heat fetish because
I just meant like your whole discog, you know?
Oh
like,
yeah. Who knows?
That'd be dope, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's easier said than done because we are like right now all scattered geographically, and just doing these 2 festivals logistically was a nightmare. Like we did those I guess 3 shows because we did a local show as well, but we did those shows and with literally 2 practices. We all showed up to Tucson. I want to say 4 days before the local show, and we practiced twice and did the show. And that show was essentially a warm up, so that our first time back wasn't at Furnace Fest or Riot Fest in front of thousands of people. So that was basically a physical warm up for us, as well as like working out the kinks musically, because we'd known for months that we were going to do these shows, but we were all scattered geographically, and so we had to like relearn those songs that we hadn't played. There's a couple songs that we played that we hadn't played since maybe 2005, which was like we did Ruth Buzz You Better Watch Her Back, and we hadn't played that song in so long. So that was like just like little things like that was like trying to iron out those little wrinkles and get ready was tough enough in itself, let alone trying to like do a record or, putting aside the time. So if we did like another song or something, it would have to be remotely done and then get into this like remotely written, sending each other parts and stuff, which is not impossible. I wouldn't rule it out, but it's not something that we're actively pursuing right now either. So
yeah, I feel that. I mean, you guys all have like, you got your lives. You guys grew up, you guys you got families, you moved. I mean, James got another band, like everybody's, you stay busy too, man, because you kicked ass in Coma Prevail and Cons too. Like you guys have all stayed busy. Like it's not like you're not making music for people that are like desperate. Like, you're busy like right now, but like if anyone were to like look through like everything you guys have worked on, like there's plenty of like good stuff out there. Even James's like stand up, like that shit's funny too.
Yeah. I mean, we're all, like you said, we're all busy with our personal lives and doing stuff like that. So we're all involved musically one way or another, to a degree. And we probably always will be. And if there's another opportunity to do a festival and we can just happen to work it out months in advance and we can do that, that might happen. Or if there's something interesting, like, doing a California show or something like that, that is a possibility, but it's not anything that's like on the table or anything like that.
I would love. I was out in Arizona recently. I don't know how you guys live out there. That shit's hot.
I mean, it is, but it's like I look at it like, man, it's hot. It's like miserable for like 4 months out of the year, but the other 8 months are so awesome that it's like it's so worth it. Like you just have to like suffer through until like October, from like, I don't know, June to October.
It's similar. It's similar in California, but there's like this thing called moisture in the air out here. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
it's very
right
awesome.
too.
I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying it's like, man, in the wintertime, it's amazing out here. So
yeah, I'm off a visit next time in the winter. I visited in spring, so I made that mistake.
Yeah. It's just nice to be like January or like December, you're in a hoodie. And then January, you're in a long sleeve shirt in it. And then late February, early March, you're in t-shirts again. And it's awesome. So
I feel it. So I feel like
who else is in the chat now?
Yeah. Ben is from Batting Cages, and we got Mark the Arson Choir, and we have myself. But Ben, you're late. You were late, and you didn't get to introduce yourself. But if you want to ask Jeremy a question first, since you've been so patiently silent, I'll let you go first. And I mean, Mark and Jeremy have been cool for years, so it's like I'm sure they can't wait to talk to each other. But let's give Ben a chance.
Hi guys, pass me the feather. My name is Benjamin. I'm a Batting Cages. Thank you very much for having me here. Sorry I was late. I had to download Zoom, bro. I am behind on the times. I ain't never.
Dude, that's what I was just telling him. I had to do the exact same thing.
while y'all are talking, I'm like, what's this button? And then my face shows up. I'm like, man, am I fucking up the interview right now? What's going on?
Man, they warned us ahead of time that you'd be popping up and it would be randomly. So we were expecting it. You're all good, man.
Awesome, bro. Yo, I appreciate it. And I actually really enjoy listening. I love listening to people who are so much further ahead than me. It's very inspiring listening to you talk about, oh, we were a local band doing our own thing, trying to make stuff happen, and y'all make stuff happen. It's just inspiring to me. And I love listening to people and getting knowledge. That's half the battle, really.
Yeah, I mean that's what you gotta do. I mean, that's what we did, and you're on the right track, bro. So
I appreciate you, man. But yeah, as of questions, I don't have any questions. I'm just enjoying hanging out.
cool.
On the subject of heat, I'm in Texas, hot as fuck, 100 degrees weather right now, humid, and even in wintertime, dude, it's still hot.
Yep.
It's true. But
Texas is
also,
brutal,
I'm in
man.
Texas too, and it gets, cold as fuck in the winter too sometimes. So
It's bipolar, dude. There's no.
I always
there's no
tell people from
choosing.
Texas, I'm like, man, you guys are allowed to leave. You're allowed to move away
I don't
from
know. It seems like everyone's trying to come here though. So who knows what's up? Actually,
I've been
it's
to
hard.
Texas.
It's hard as hell to leave Texas. It's gigantic, and
It
like
is.
I don't know. Where we're gonna go? Oklahoma, Arkansas.
Anywhere else, bro. Anywhere else, man.
Yeah,
Other than
man.
like my two least favorite states, and this is nothing personal against people, are Florida and Texas. I can't handle either
Too
of those
humid.
states because they're both enormous and the weather is atrocious all the time, pretty much.
Dude, you
And,
can you can
I
have a
love
problem
Austin.
with the people.
I
Austin's
remember
awesome.
everyone's talking about the lunar eclipse that just happened, and I go outside and it's like I can't see the moon because it's cloudy, and I think it's gonna be a tornado or something tonight. Is basically my
Wow.
thoughts.
I caught it. It was really cool. It was cool. And I was this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I was door dashing at the time. So I'm picking up food order, and the lady who's handing me the food is like, "Hey, you should go outside and check out the lunar eclipse right now." And I was oblivious because I don't pay attention. So I go out and I check out the moon, and it was just really, really cool.
Awesome. Don't be embarrassed for door dashing, bro. We all gotta make ends meet.
Yeah, we're all
nowadays.
doing. I think we're all
Dude,
doing
I'm
side
a-
gigs, honestly.
I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad, and
Hey.
because my partner, she makes, I had a full-time job, and then, she got pregnant, and she makes a lot more money than I did at her job, so she kept on working, and I watched the kid because it made more sense for me to stay at home and watch the kid versus paying for childcare, which is just outrageous. So yeah, and then so I do some door dashing here and there as a side hustle. Just like when the kid goes to bed, I go out for an hour or two, do some door dashing. It just helps to keep gas in our tanks, put a little food on the table. If I want to, take the kid out somewhere, I can do that and stuff like that.
Get you out of the house too, like
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I
Congratulations
feel that.
on the family.
I do lifts, so I totally get that, and like I meet all kinds of crazy, weird people, and it's kind of like cool because there's people are still not really doing things right now.
See, I'm not into the lift because I just don't want to.
People in your car.
Yeah, I just don't want people in my
Yeah.
car. Let's have a baby seat in there and everything, so it's a little different for me. But even if I didn't, I wouldn't be into it. I don't think, just because I like the food because I can just jam my podcast or my music and just zone out and pick up some food, drop it off at someone. 9 times out of 10, I don't even have to see the customer. I drop it off, snap a photo, and get
and
back
you
in
get
my
free
car.
food every now and then, right?
Yeah, if I want to get fired.
I watch
Plus, it's
too many
like-
I watch too many true crime stuff to trust anybody in my car. Just kind of I don't like it at all. I feel weird.
I
Yeah.
mean, it definitely gives you some like instincts for sure about how to like deal with people, or like how like you learn how to read vibes, I guess, because like you really think about like who you're bringing in your car. But at the same time, I think most people are just like, yeah, I'm just trying to go where I'm trying to go and don't really give a fuck. And
Right.
so-
They just wanna,
You're right.
yeah. But
Well,
I totally get it. I would honestly do DoorDash, but they're not hiring in Dallas. But yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
really?
yeah, they
That's
got too many
strange.
people working. Yeah, I know, it's weird.
It's just overcrowded, oversaturated.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I check back every few months, but because I'd probably do that during the day and then work lift at night. And that would be the way to do it. And yeah, but
Cool.
We all gotta make money. Money's hard.
I know it's. If only we could just make money on cool stuff, right?
Yeah, if only we were just. If only people bought records still, and
yeah, just everyone go stream the Bled right now. Actually, listen to the rest of this episode, then stream the Bled.
Both at the same time.
At the same time, yeah, exactly.
I would recommend everybody go listen to Heat Fetish by the Bled, because you can get night errors, like a lot of plays, and then you can help convince Jeremy that we do want a remix of Heat Fetish. Mark, you have been sitting so stoically, so I'm going to ask you to ask Jeremy some questions, because you've known him longer than all of us here, I would assume.
Sure.
Well, known is debatable, but we've chatted. You know, we've I've marked out over no pun intended over your name, but I've got to over your dude. That was so natural. That's like wrestling lingo for me, and I just threw it out there on accident.
I
love your band, so I thought your band was cool when I first heard it. I'm like, cool, they're doing some non-formulaic, unpredictable stuff, which is cool. So big ups to you, big ups to the Arson Choir.
Ripping all the Bled riffs off. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So my question is obviously going to be like nerdy guitar shit, because that's what I'm about. The first thing would be like, you know, your sound for me is very distinctive, and you have a very specific style. Was that like a conscious decision? Was that just something that came in time? Was that like, because, you know, being in a band setting, do you show up to the band setting and go like, hey, like, here's the songs, I would appreciate your input? Or do you just go like, these are my ideas and we're moving forward with this?
So there's a lot of, I think it's maybe a little bit of both what you're saying, but I guess how it was, if you're asking like how I got my style, I guess, of songwriting, I guess it comes from just like, is that what you're asking?
In a way, yeah. In a way, like, do you feel like you, because, you know, you've
I guess found your sound, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's like most bands, most bands, we're kind of a, you know, we're kind of a mix of the bands that we love, and it just so happens that the bands that we loved were not just hardcore bands, you know what I mean? So finding a way to work in weird melodies and stuff and mixing it with hardcore came a lot from my love for bands like NoFX and Lagwagon, and you know punk bands that really, like, their whole basis was melody driven. Mixing that with bands like Shia and Refused and Converge, just kind of like naturally trying to blend those styles, take metal and give it some melody here and there, and trying to keep it punk and trying to keep it heavy, and it just kind of came out that way. It just kind of made sense to us. But yeah, we're just like most bands, like we are just a product of our influences kind of mixed together in an interesting way. And as far as like bringing the riffs to the table and how we would do it, I would write. So the way that I write is I will write 3 or 4 parts that flow together, or that will get me from one place to the next, whether it's A, B part, or A, B, C, A, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Verse, bridge, chorus, verse, breakdown kind of thing. So that's what I would try to do when I write. I would try to write like 3 or 4 parts that flowed. And then I would take it to Petacone and we would riff it out. And if it felt good, then we would try to make a song out of it. And we were all never shy about something not working, or if something wasn't compelling us to bang our heads naturally or like just jive to it immediately, then we would feel that we were trying to force something that wasn't working, and we would work on it, or we would replace it, or we would move it around. I would assume that that's pretty much what most bands do. I guess a lot of bands these days write on their laptops and then just send to people the finished song. Maybe I don't know how it is these days, but you know, when we were a band, that's how we did it, and that's how I know a lot of other bands did it as well. So
Well, that's kind of why I asked, because that seems like a lot more of an organic way than what I'm kind of currently seeing the trend being, where there's one primary writer who writes guitars, drums, sometimes also includes vocals, and then goes, okay, here's everything, learn it.
What worked for us in the early days was I would write the rhythm guitars, I guess if you call it the skeletal guitars of the song, and then I would, either Ross and I would be playing the same thing, or I would teach him that. So either way, he was learning the skeletal things, and then I would write a lead or the second guitar, I guess, over it after, while he's playing the skeletal parts. So essentially I would write the like I said, the core of the song, and then we would all I would never write drum parts, because why would you do that when you have Mike Petticone as a drummer? You know what I mean? Right. So I would show him, and then he would, kind of naturally do his thing to it. And he would be like, is this the kind of vibe? And I'd be like, yeah, but let's try it fast. Or opposite, I would have a vibe and tell him the way. And then he'd be like, okay, but let's try it this way. And then 9 times out of 10, we're going to go with what he wants, because he's the drummer. And so everyone kind of had their own input, except for on Pass the Flask, Munoz had very little input, because the songs were written before he was in the band, because we had a different vocalist, and he joined the band 2 months before we recorded Pass the Flask. So he just kind of jumped in and had to learn Pass the Flask on the fly, and I had the lyrics written for it already. And so he had very little input. And then moving forward past that record, he had much more input and wrote a lot of the lyrics. So everybody had their own voice in the band as far as songwriting goes. And I would just, like I said, write the core of the song, and then we would just kind of put it all together after that.
Nice. So when you're talking about balancing between your different genres when you're writing stuff, do you feel like you were actively trying to balance it, or did it just come out like that?
Not in the moment. There was never a point where dude, let's put a NoFX-esque melody over this. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of that's just what we love. So we would just riff stuff out. And I had played in punk bands before I did the Bled, and I had played in hardcore bands that kind of sounded like a similar style, but less melody and stuff like that. So I was in, when the Bled first started, we weren't even called the Bled. We had this ridiculously long name, and we just wanted to rip off the Dillinger Escape Plan as hard as we could, except for we completely sucked at our instruments comparatively. So it was just kind of taking a NoFX-esque riff. I'm just gonna keep using that band as an analogy, because I loved that band at the time. And then just being okay, what would Dillinger do to this song? And they would add a little flair here, and then a little jazzy little lick there. And so that's just kind of how it kind of naturally happened. But it was never conscious. It was never we should write a song that's these two bands mixed. It was just in the moment, dude, this sounds catchy to us. And like I said before, if all of our heads are banging to it and we're feeling the energy as we're playing it, then we just go with it. You know what I mean? And that's how we wrote. When we wrote Pass the Flask, it was never written as a complete record, or even a record at all. It was just the songs that we were using to play live. And then when we went to do the record, we're these are the songs that we have written. And that's just how it came about. There was never anything forced. And even later on, I think that you can kind of hear record to record, there are contemporary influences at the time that got brought into the Bled. Every Bled record has little differences, whether it's, I guess it would just be growth, especially vocally. I think James just got better and better and better with each release.
Yeah.
And
agree.
It was never just a conscious thing. It was always us working stuff out in the practice space and writing what felt good. And then also for us at the time, whenever we had done Pass the Flask and we saw that people were digging it, it was just keep it going. You just want to keep it going. You want to And once you like are no longer referencing other bands and you're trying to reference
yourself
from the record before, then you can really start to like add in stuff that step outside of your comfort zone a little bit and try to do something new on the record, and without worrying about like fan reaction. And if you're servicing a certain audience or anything, you just want to be creatively rewarded. You know what I mean? You want to leave the practice space being like, dude, that song is the shit. You want to be humming it in your car. You want to be excited for the next band practice because you thought of this one little thing that will make it better. And that's just like what I mean by being in the moment when you're writing, because there are bands out there that will write a record and be like, we have to do this because this is what our fans expect. And you can feel that when you hear the record. You'd be like, I'm not going to name any names of bands, but I'll hear this. I'm like, dude, this band would be so much better if they would just like step outside of what they want, what they think their fans want, and challenge them and challenge themselves. Because I like this band, but I don't want just a little more polished version of the record before from them. I want to feel something a little different, even if it's just like 2 or 3 songs. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take like that last Every Time I Die record. There are a couple of songs on there where I'm like, man, they really stepped outside of themselves and did some cool shit here. And I really respect them. And that was the first record of theirs since I like some stuff off Low Teens, but I really think one of my favorite records of theirs is New Junk Aesthetic. And I felt like the records after that, I just felt like it was just like, I knew what I was going to get from Every Time I Die. So with this last record, I felt like they felt that. And they were like, you know what, let's just do some cool shit. Let's have some features on there that you wouldn't expect, and some, you know, really do some cool stuff. And what is it called? The Thing with Wings or something like that. I think that song is their best song they ever wrote. And because they challenged themselves and because they stepped outside the box. And I don't want to like keep referencing that band right now because I love those dudes and they're going through their own thing. But just musically, going by that record, that's a good example of like really being like, they took a chance. There's a lot of singing on that song. And they got the dude from Manchester Orchestra to do that song. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that's awesome. I love it when bands do that, when they can throw you a curveball because I wasn't expecting it. So I like being surprised by a band, especially that late in their career, to be able to surprise you as a listener, and I'm sure surprise themselves as a musician. Must have been awesome. So,
do you feel like that's a weird balance going back and forth between a musician and a consumer of music, where it's like you want to be, you know, the band guy and push yourself, but you also gotta appease, you know, fan A, B, and C because you still need to sell these records. So you can't go too far because you can't lose that. You can't really lose that fan base. Otherwise,
you can. You for sure really can. You can just do that. Like, I think I don't know how big of fans of Cave In you guys are, but when you listen to Cave In Until Your Heart Stops, and then listen to their next record, it was like 2 middle fingers in the air to every fan that loved them for what they were doing on Until Your Heart Stops. And I thought that was so punk to just be like, we're gonna give you what interests us musically, and you're either on board with it or you move on to one of the other metalcore bands. And that's that. And a lot of those bands stayed with them. A lot of them, a lot of their fans went on that journey with them, are still going on that journey with them, because you don't know what you're going to get from the next Cave In record.
Yeah.
And so I think that you absolutely can. You don't have to find that balance if you don't want to. You are making art. If you're painting a picture and people love this picture of trees and landscape that you did, your next painting, you are not obligated to paint trees. You can make a picture of yourself. You can do whatever you want. And I just kind of look at that same thing with movie directors. They can make look at the Coen brothers. A lot of their movies have their style, but stylistically they're similar, but then genre-wise, they can do comedies, film noir. They can do some dark shit. They can do remakes. So I like artists that are like that you don't know what you're going to get. And they don't care if they isolate the audience from the previous record because they're at a level where they're serving themselves. And
I think one thing that does need to be addressed, because we've interviewed Thomas Eric and we've interviewed Derek Bloom from First to Last, and you guys have a lot of these influences that are, you know, like rich in the history of like lore and music, you know, because Thomas Eric identifies his band as a punk band. He doesn't go mathcore. He doesn't say post-hardcore. He goes, we're a punk band, because you guys grew up
it's
around
an attitude. Yeah, exactly.
You grew up around that time. And it was also like people get lost in all these genres and micro labels. And it's just like punk was just not the mainstream. Like literally, it's not supposed to be on the radio. That's the kind of music it is. It's not radio music. It's DIY, underground. I found this. It's mine. It's personal. Like I love that old time like thought process, because it's like it's rooted in respect and culture, and like a lot of people lose sight of that. And I think that's the work ethic that you guys had that got you guys where you were, you know?
Yeah, I would tell people that if I was in like a Wendy's or something, and people would always ask, are you guys in a band? And we'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, oh, their first question would be like, what's it called? And we would tell them, like, oh, what kind of music is it? I would just tell them heavy, because it's so much easier and so much more vague, and let them, if they want to, So
core.
I define us as like a heavy punk band, you know what I mean? So, because like I said, we were rooted in bands like NoFX and but also bands like Converge and Refuse, that I consider punk hardcore bands. And so I think it also comes down to the ideology behind the bands and the way that they conduct themselves, because it's very hard for me to call, I'm not going to say names, but a band that was built from a studio's perspective or a label's perspective, and they're playing music that is not true to what they do, you know, to what they really want to do.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to call them punk, even if that's what they identify. So
like
at the end of the day, I don't really care either. So it is what it is. But
they're just words.
Yeah.
Looking back at like those crabcore bands, they were just like,
I would have like, even if I was in one of those bands, I would have never allowed myself to have been called that, even as a marketing, just because like.
That's how I feel that way.
As much as I love the term mathcore, I think Bledcore would be pretty cool. I'm just saying.
That'd be cool.
That'd be sick.
I want a Bledcore t-shirt right now.
Yeah, the labels don't really matter to me that much. I think Thomas Eric is awesome, and Derek Bloom is awesome. I've toured with both those dudes. I've had good times with both of those dudes, and however they want to characterize or be characterized, just let them be that. Yeah, that's cool.
Honestly, a Bled from First to Last and Ball of Troy tour would be really awesome.
We did the Bled, Fall of Troy, and Fear Before the March of Flames in the UK. And that was one of like my favorite tours that we did. It was just like the dudes on that tour were all on the same like wavelength as far as vibe goes. And then the music was interesting enough. And man, that was a really fun tour.
I recall,
especially doing it in the UK, and that was actually a full European tour. We did like the Netherlands and Amsterdam and Germany and like a lot of that stuff too.
You've done it wasn't during our interview, but Thomas Eric said that his band was kind of like a glue that stuck around with a lot of different bands in the scene. Like for some reason, it didn't matter. They were playing with like Deftones and and then they're playing with
the center of the pie chart.
Yeah, and I feel like the Bled is the same, because you guys played with My Chemical Romance, him, Project Revolution. Like you guys have done and been playing with like every band that's been somebody in this scene, from Under Oath to Senses Fail to like I literally everybody. Like, is there somebody you haven't played with, to be honest?
Yeah, I mean there is, but we really consciously wanted to go out of our way to. I don't know if this is a little bit too insider baseball, but we really wanted to be the heaviest band on the tour by just a small margin, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, we would do really good money wise as far as selling merch and stuff on a tour like that Census Fail was headlining, because their fans are essentially at the time were pop punk fans that were right on the cusp of enjoying heavy music, and we could bring them over a little bit. And so we really benefited off, like the Used was perfect band for us to tour with. Same reason, their fans love poppy music, and then they would get us, and we had that element, but we were going to be in your face, and we were going to have this energy that we were trying to not by no means outdo the headliner, but we want to be like, you're not going to forget us when you leave that show. We're not going to be a band that if you didn't hear about us or you didn't care about us, you're going to leave that venue with an opinion one way or the other. You either hated us because we ruined your night waiting for the Used, or you were brought over to our side and
who you guys,
even if you bring over half that audience or a quarter of that audience, the next time you go through that town, that's 20 or 30 people that are going to tell a friend and come out to your show the next time. So that's the difference between, that's how bands make money. That's how bands grow and bands support themselves, is by not just pigeonholing themselves to doing bands that are four or five bands that are real similar and of the same genre, which we did plenty of those tours as well.
Yeah.
But we have benefited more from doing the bands where, like I said, we were just the heaviest band on the tour by a small margin. Same thing with like touring with like Seosin, you know what I mean? Like,
I think, like, to put it in wrestling terminology, you were kind of like Rob Van Dam during like the early 2000s in WWE. He was like the most over guy on the roster. He hit the highest spot, the coolest moves. He just didn't have the world championship, like
he was over with the audience, and he was going to bring you in, or you're going to be like, I just want to see The Rock do his thing, so get Rob Van Dam out of here. Either way, you're going to have an opinion on it. Yeah, exactly.
You want to get the high pop. You're trying to get the pops in the crowd. You're just trying to get over like Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Daredevil's daring to be different on a very different lineup. And I think you guys did that a lot. Like, sincerely, like I saw you guys at Warped Tour 2005. I still have like the flyer like right here on my wall. Let me see. Yeah, this right here. Yeah.
Nice.
That's when I saw you guys with My Chemical Romance and all that stuff. Like, that was a good ass show. That was a great time. And I've always been appreciative as a fan. Very appreciative of your time here today. Like, dude, sincerely, like, I've been a fan for like almost 20 years now.
Thanks,
oh yeah, Ryan brings you up all the time, constantly.
I appreciate
and, like,
it.
we love it, man.
Ryan has been on our page. I think that it's safe to say that Ryan is probably online anyway, our one of our biggest fans, and he is very vocal and always posting stuff about us. So yeah, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate you promoting our band, even though we're not functioning any longer as like a touring band. We appreciate you, man.
Of course.
And he mentions y'all's music like on the show like all the time too. So you're getting that boost too.
Yeah, I listened
to this stuff.
I listened to the Brandon Kellum podcast because he told me before he did it that he was, or right after he did it, that he had just done this podcast, and that he was like, I'm pretty sure they just wanted me on here because they're trying to get a hold of you and they know that I know you. I was like, no, Brandon's funny and American Standards is awesome.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you've seen it, but I did when I was out in Arizona, I did a behind the scenes with them, and I got to hang out with those dudes, and goddamn, those are like the funniest human beings I've ever been around. Like, they are hilarious. Like, I kept telling them, like, present this. You need to show everybody that you guys are just fucking the goofiest motherfuckers, because it's gold whenever you hang with dudes.
That band, I've always looked up to the way Brandon hustles for his band. You know, when they were really going at it and trying to tour or not trying to do, but touring and doing their thing and really trying to. He was just nonstop online, and that's what you want. You want someone that's like, he's just excellent at self-promoting and then he backs it up musically and live. He backs it up with his performance. So can't say enough things about those dudes. And
I agree. And I even I had to I think it kind of was maybe I don't know, like a flattering experience for Brandon, because I basically told him on the show, I wouldn't be where I am with this show, my podcast. I watched you as a hustler, as a band guy, as a musician myself, and I was just like, this dude knows what he's doing. I need to pay attention to how he posts and just watching him and how he hustles. Brandon Kellum of American Standards is one of the most wholesome, honest salesmen out there for a band.
He's awesome.
If you want someone to sell you a used car, I would you would probably buy it from Brandon Kellum if he
or not, because he would tell you what's wrong with it. You're either gonna get a good car or he's not gonna sell it to you if he was a car salesman.
Exactly. He's a good person. Any new stuff they're working on with Aaron Mitchell of An Awful Mess, I'm excited. I was in the studio listening to them track guitars, drums. They didn't do vocals the days I was there, but to see them do that, I'm bummed I didn't get to do them guest vocals like they promised.
Right. Yeah, it happens.
Just hearing it was an honor enough to do that behind the scenes. I have a half hour of footage just goofing around with those guys. It was a good time. That was probably one of the high spots of Arizona.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
But it was nice talking to you in Arizona, and I think we had a 6 a.m., 5 a.m. conversation, and I was like, "Hey, I'm in Arizona. You want to do an interview?" And you're like, "Bro, I'd love to, but I am a dad and I love my family."
So I wake up at 5:30 a.m. pretty much every day, and then that 5:30 a.m. to about 7 a.m. is my window to play video games or be on my phone or watch a movie, where it's just me in my living room hanging. And so that, and then my hour a day when my son is napping is the only free time I have to just myself. So
I feel that. Yeah. I respect it, dude. And that's I've always told you, I even told you the other day, I've mentioned that you guys have been a long sought after guest, and I have asked Jeremy, this poor fella, for 3 years, hey, you want to come on the show? And I've always told him,
it's all good, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And when he tells me no, it's the equivalent of mom saying no, go to bed. It does not.
Yeah, but it was never because we didn't want to do the podcast. It was just finding the time. You know what I mean? So,
and my advice to anyone who does podcasts, or just a journalist or anybody, if somebody says no, or oh, I can't do an interview right now, don't take that shit personally, because you'll just talk yourself out of a future interview.
Just circle around back to it in the future, especially if they let you know that it's not anything personal, that they don't, or that they can't do the interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's it's a time thing, and time is precious, especially in these day and ages when it seems so little at times.
Yeah, Ryan is really good at just getting on people's radar just by asking people, and that's I saw people giving him shit online the other day, and I was like, Ryan's doing a great job just hitting people up, and he does it consistently, and it works out for us very well. So
cool, man. Well, anybody else got any other questions?
Man,
do we have any? Did you ask any fan questions or?
I did not. I knew this was a kind by the seat of our pants interview. I didn't want to try to make too much of a spectacle of it before it happened. Sometimes you got to knock on wood just to make sure interviews happen, and this one's a very precious one. I don't want to jinx nothing beforehand, but I don't have any fan questions. All I know is that everybody loves Pass the Flask.
It's cool. Yeah. People love that record.
Yeah, it's a great, phenomenal record. It deserves every ounce of praise it gets. Is Red Wedding a Game of Thrones reference?
No,
that's a good question.
It's not? Really?
No. That's just a happy coincidence. I had no idea that was even a thing until the episode came out, and people were like, "Dude, did you guys know?" No, that's just we were just trying to play a spin on Billy Idol's White Wedding. That's what it was. That's dead honest truth. That's what it was. We were just
the coolest
Billy Idol has. It's a nice day for a white wedding. We're gonna do a red wedding. So
the best part about it is lyrically, it works.
Yeah,
it's with Game of Thrones. Like it just feels like that's why probably people ask you. They read it and they're like,
well, I've seen like a fan-made conglomeration of the two where people mix they made a video out of that scene in Game of Thrones to our song, and that was really cool. So
I was just like, did the Bled, like, did they know, like you scratch your chin and wonder, like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that was not, and it could have been, I could see how, because we do use a lot of movie references and stuff for our song titles back then, especially. But yeah, that was just a coincidence.
Yeah. Like, do you have any favorite song titles, like that you have, like, throughout your discography?
Yes.
Even if it's Cons and Coma Prevail, because I know Cons and Coma Prevail, I know you've done a lot of others. Like, you can include any song titles for any band you've been in.
Yeah, no, my favorite song title that we ever came up with was "You Should Be Ashamed of Myself." It was basically a ripoff of Jets to Brazil was a band that they had a song called "I Hope You're Having the Time of My Life." And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So basically, essentially ripped off that song title and put "You Should Be Ashamed of Myself" for that. So I think that's probably one of my favorite song titles. And I
good.
like "Breathing Room Barricades." I don't know.
All of these are like my favorite songs anyway, so I dig it. But I know you only have a short amount of time, Jeremy. I don't want to take up too much. I know you only have a certain amount of free time. If I could suggest that maybe you should try out that new that new Evil Dead video game, if you're a fan of horror, if you like Evil Dead, if you like movies, like that new
I've seen
game.
a couple things of it online. Right now, I'm just like invested in Dying Light 2 is what I'm playing.
Nice. Yeah.
And I've been playing that since it came out.
Yeah, I don't ever have time for games. And
wake up at 5:30 in the morning, dude.
Yeah. If a game
Brian goes to bed at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that's my time for bed. If a game can keep me distracted from my phone and like up until 5 o'clock in the morning just playing, like I'm like, shit, this is bad. This is dangerous. I need to get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
But anything else, if anyone else has any other questions, I know Jeremy only has a certain amount of time.
I can come back and, I mean, if you guys want me to do a further interview maybe a few months from now or something.
Yeah,
we would love that. That'd be awesome. Whatever you want.
I have a question. If I can ask on your behalf, because you mentioned them both by name, I can talk to Thomas Eric and I can talk to Derek Bloom. If you want to see your old pals, I can arrange it. We can have a little discussion here, and you guys can talk memories if you want. Because we just got signed. We're in a partnership with Ghost Killer Entertainment, and we're in the business of making little magical moments happen. And I think the closest thing to getting a tour right now would be getting the three of you in a room just to shoot the shit, and to be a fly on the wall of that would be dope as fuck.
Yeah, man. I'm open to anything. So like I said, I have about an hour of time during the day, during the week, that I can do. And I'm pretty much open to whatever. I'll literally chat with someone that I don't know. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Literally, we were up at like 1 o'clock in the morning for Thomas Eric's interview. That's the only free time.
Yeah. Well, that's 3 o'clock for me, but it was still a lit interview. I love that shit. Actually, I was working all night for Lyft, and then I finished up. I'm like, damn, I'm so pissed. I missed the interview. And Ryan's like, hey, you can hop on right now, and it's like 3:30 in the morning.
Nice, cool.
And it was honestly great. But
yeah,
I mean,
that would be a cool interview. Mark,
it would be.
If the Fall of Troy and From First to Last and the Bled were all in the same room once again.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
on the stage of the internet.
Yeah,
I'm open to whatever, man. Let me know.
All right. Conversation fest. It'll be Convo Fest.
All right, man. I'm gonna bolt because my kiddo's rolling around now.
Yeah.
All right.
Got the baby monitor here, so I can keep an eye.
Yeah. He's like,
dude. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being an ultra fan and always promoting us. Like I said, despite the fact that we're not a functioning touring band, and I appreciate you. I appreciate all three of you, the other three dudes too. Mark, good to finally meet you. And yeah, appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
dude.
for having me.
We appreciate you coming on and making time for us. Like, this is a great interview. You was very informative, and thank you so much for being open with us.
Of course, man. Of course.
Yeah,
let's do it again soon.
Of course.
All right. Later, guys.
Later.
See ya.
That was fun.
What a swell fellow.
You've been quiet the most. I feel bad. So
swallow.
If you want to like talk about batting cages, dude, like promote the fuck out of yourself right now. Win the audience.
You run a bunch of batting cages? I'm just kidding.
Yes, I do. No, it's funny. Our name is batting cages. I don't even fucking play baseball. I played baseball like once when I was 5, and I couldn't catch a single thing, man. They knew not to put me out there, but it's cool, man. It's cool for merch. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, so you're from Texas, or?
No, I'm from Colorado, but we moved down to Texas a little bit ago.
Where are you living at now? I live in Dallas. But...
Oh, I'm in a little town called San Angelo. I'm like
okay. That's that's really out there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's little town. So yeah, I'm sorry I didn't come super prepared for this. I didn't know I was gonna do anything. Honestly, all day.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
I like
Ryan's got the Bill Murray glasses on.
I like Cash now. I just want everybody like I am a music promoter and I do help people out. And Ben here is one of my clients, and I like to put people on to new music, and batting cages is really dope. And as a person, and as a being, just the vibe that Ben puts out, I like Ben. Ben's a good person. He's funny as fuck too. You laugh. And I'm the guy that's usually trying to make everybody laugh, but if someone can make me laugh, I appreciate it. So I just wanted to give Ben a chance to, hang out with a very seasoned musician and like chill. He's been chill this whole time. Most people there's people we've had on that like cut people off. Ben's just like stoic, listening, got the like well-groomed like facial hair. Like what's the hate?
Thanks, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I was checking out your music right before, and it was really good shit, man.
Thanks, dude. That was a demo. That's why it's called Dugout Demo. You see, it's on brand, first of all, but it's also still a demo. And yeah, that was just in our living room and stuff. I just had it connected to a mixer, very low quality. But I was telling my boys, like, all right, no one wants to book a band if you don't have any music. You can't just say, hey, can I play a show? Trust me, we're cool. You have to have something. But now I'm self-producing our album. We have everything basically tracked. All we need are some screams and stuff like that to kind of add on to it.
I'll do it.
Yeah, Ryan will do it. Ryan's down for whatever.
You want to feature on something, bro?
Yeah, I would love to. I'd be honored, to be honest with you. For real.
Dude, bro. No, I'm serious. We love that kind of stuff. So I'll be hitting you up.
Yeah. If you need other people, hit me up. I know some people. Jeremy. I don't know if I can get Jeremy to do vocals, but I know. Yeah.
Now you know him personally, so
awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to meet all of y'all. I appreciate the time, man.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And Ben, Mark Ben. Mark's in the Arson Choir, who's kind of like, that mathcore index type scene, like music. Like, he's an awesome guy. I know him from my local scene. I don't know if you guys got properly introduced because it was kind of like a pulping situation.
yes, of course. Well, what's up, bro? Benjamin, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you, man. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out your music. If they talk, highly about it, then I'm definitely interested in seeing what you guys got. And
Arson Choir is sick, dude.
If you ever have the time to make it out to SoCal, like, please let me know and we'll figure out a show for you guys.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We want to get this album out because it's actually like much better quality, but I appreciate you taking the time to listen and let me do stuff. I just didn't want to be that guy who's like interrupting everything. It's clear like the dude from the Bled is very knowledgeable and he's the guy who needs to be doing that. So I didn't want to be like, hey guys, I'm a local band. Check my shit out, SoundCloud. I didn't want to scam nobody.
Yeah, I get that.
Hey, it's all good. I mean, a little spam never hurt anyone, honestly. Ryan knows that.
That's funny. In our group chat, that's something Ryan was saying. He's like, look, if you're scared of spamming people on Facebook because they don't like it, fuck those people. Spam people. This is your dreams, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that does make sense. I do want this to happen.
But speaking of, you're talking about booking shows, and I was wondering, like, do you play in Texas and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, man, we've never gone on a tour. We've had some difficulties with like finding a bass player that fits and stuff like that. So we do just a lot of local stuff, but my boys are super excited to do at least a Texas tour soon. So that's where we're at with that.
Well, I mean, I gotta support the homies, so you come to Dallas or DFW area, but specifically Dallas, because that would be way more convenient. Yeah, I'll check you out.
Sick, dude, sick. Appreciate it. So what are some of the stuff y'all like to do outside of this and, you know, like lift and, you know, stuff that pays the bills, you know, what's some of y'all's passions?
Let's see. Well, I mean, I make music too. I'm trying at least. So I lived with my brother like a year ago, and we kind of like, and so I had all my music equipment there. And then when I moved out, like I left a lot of it there and I just never got it back. So I just have my guitars right now. So I don't have any amps or anything. And so it's kind of complicated. So now it's like I gotta buy a bunch of new music equipment basically, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I mean, so do that, work for Lyft, do this, watch a lot of YouTube.
Hell yeah. Me and my girlfriend watch a ton of anime. So that's our thing. You've been watching the new Spy Family, bro?
Nah.
So good. So good. What about you, Ryan? I see you're always hustling, bro. Every time I check my Facebook, you're in some completely random new place doing something completely new.
I watched a lot of Viva La Bam growing up, and it was like, what's Bam Margera gonna do next? And he's just like, whatever the fuck I want. And it's just
then like the shitty CGI where he jumps off like the thing. Yeah.
That's my brain. Instead of a hamster in a wheel, it's just Bam Margera constantly jumping off a CGI building. Like and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I understand, like to some people, like to see me go through this shit can be stressful. And I do have people hit me up and like be like, you good, bro? Like you on drugs? Like you fall off the wagon? Like I don't do drugs. I smoke weed and I smoke cigarettes. Like
weed's not a drug. Tobacco's not a drug.
It's not a drug that makes you behave weird though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not doing stuff that makes me like have a manic episode.
You know what? If people want to hang out with me, maybe I would do a little more of that. But for right now,
the thing is, I went to Groundlings Theater. I did an improv class. I've been in theater. I've been a jokester, a class clown my entire life.
Nice.
And it's like when you act like Boo Boo the Foo, Yogi's gonna come over and ask you what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get attention. It's just like I'm in the business of attention, and like I don't mean to be like a dick sometimes. Like it's just part of the territory when you're all hyped up and shit to just be a goofball. And that's my intention. I don't ever want to hurt people.
Sorry, you broke up when you were saying that.
Yeah.
I try not to swear on that.
That's some good auto-tune right there.
That was solid. I think what he's mainly trying to say is Ryan's built different. Basically, he's just built different.
Ryan's built different, and if that offends you, well, then you can just keep seeing all the stuff on social media.
Yeah, I'm probably got the patchiest internet right now. I'm sorry.
Are you just walking outside?
I guess Ryan's a little bit on eggshells right now, but it's okay. I think they'll come back around, especially after the big thing that happened yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Also, Ryan, I think rides for his homies online too. I mean, maybe sometimes a little too much, but it's all good because I mean that's good quality for sure.
At least it's out of love, right?
What?
At least it's out of love.
Exactly.
I love being in this group chat with Ryan, because I texted him one time, just, hey, I really like your business, you're out here, you're doing your thing, but you're also able to put like the foot down on clients and stuff like that. You have to know what you're offering to people when it comes to your own personal business. And I thought that was really cool of him. But man, it's just crazy. You get a room full of angsty musicians in a group chat, and
We lost them.
dude, the drama that goes on it's beautiful. It's just.
Are you talking about what was going on yesterday, I guess, or?
Yeah, yes, it's incredible.
Well, I mean, don't get into it specifically.
I'm not.
It's still
no
it's a little
names.
fresh, but like, yeah, that I don't know.
I would say that what Ben's getting at is it's a ridiculous situation, and
musicians are interesting people.
Yeah.
Music
exactly.
we meet very interesting
very
people.
Passionate.
There's a lot of passion, and I don't hate nobody. I have no beef with anybody. I love everybody. That's about the gist of it. I'm an angelic being. Look at I'm an ethereal
light.
Look
at his mustache. How can you not call him angelic?
I need to shave this shit off, bro. I'm never gonna get a beard. It's not gonna happen. I can't.
I can see a little bit on your like 48 pixel screen. I can see a little bit of whiskers coming in.
I hate it. The Zoom call, he's recording on a microphone
right
now.
Outside where my Wi-Fi is. So I'm sorry.
For your wife?
Wi-Fi. So I gotta hide in the bushes because my internet's just really shitty sometimes. That's what you get with Metro PCS.
Are you recording? Yeah, dude. It looks like you're recording on your microwave right now, to be honest with you.
Really? Is it that blurry? Or is it just like skipping and shit?
Skipping.
It's skipping.
Little of everything.
I don't know what to say, man. I got both my Wi-Fi and my mobile internet running, and neither one is very strong, unfortunately.
So I got a question.
Every time
for y'all.
Someone says Metro PCS, I think of that Lil Yachty song.
The Metro Boo.
Where you at?
What?
I don't.
What'd you say?
My internet sucks, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, man, you can just have to listen to the episode, Ryan.
It's kind of like shit. Did I sound all right when I was in the house? Because I went outside for a cigarette. And
yeah.
I just around. I go go back
in the house.
Yeah. I'll probably just go back in the house. I was having a cigarette, and then I don't know why I'm still outside. I just like the background.
No
scenery.
cigs inside.
I don't smoke cigarettes in my house now.
Cigs inside. Cigs inside. Cigs inside.
Cigs inside.
Inside. Cigs inside.
I have no input on this. I don't smoke, so.
Yeah. I don't smoke either. But I mean, if someone's chanting in a group chat, you just kind of have to join. It doesn't matter what they're saying.
It's just yeah, exactly. It's just. I mean, like, I don't smoke anymore. I mean, I do, but like only when I have money, because I'm not addicted. But I do like it. I don't know. You know what I mean?
But if you had money, would you be addicted?
I actually have a decent amount of money right now, and I haven't smoked a cigarette since. And I don't know. But I mean, hey, so what's coming up, and I do like to smoke in these big crowds just because I get anxiety.
Okay.
But, so who knows? We might get through a whole pack that weekend.
Hell yeah.
Are you going to So What, Ben? Since you're in Texas?
Am I what?
Going to So What?
I'm not, bro. I got the money.
Hey, well, those local bands, they'll hook you up for like $75 for a ticket for a day.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Honestly, me and my girl, we got our 2-year anniversary coming up here in a little bit, so we're saving up. We're saving up for that.
Happy lady.
I feel you.
Gotta keep the lady happy.
Exactly. That's probably a way better use of your funds, honestly. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's a different use of your funds, but it might pay off a little bit more. So.
Oh man. Yo, I got some
in the long term.
Yes. Questions. What is some of y'all's advice for like up and coming local bands when it comes to, I guess, booking tours or like starting stuff off like that? Because we do want to get out of town.
Be a bro.
I feel like what you got to do is you just got to like connect with as many people as possible. It seems like the move basically, and just find other bands and like because if other bands I think like your music, they'll probably be hitting you up to play shows with them and things like that, and then they'll direct you to other people.
For real, just be a good dude. Like the best advice I've had for anything is just be a good dude, and that's usually what Ryan and I go back and forth with is just be a good dude. Like help out if you can. If you're at a show and you make conversation with somebody and you see them struggling with their gear, like, yo, do you need a hand? Like, can I help you out? And just be a bro. And that's the best thing that I can tell anybody is just be a good dude.
And like it's my new favorite saying these days is it's not what you know and who you know, it's who you know and what you can do for them. Like you gotta like whoever you meet, if you want to like have a beneficial relationship like in the long term, it doesn't matter what level they're at, because you can have a conversation with these people. Anybody that works in the music industry is just a human being. They're just dudes, they're just bros, they're just guys, they're just girls. And if you approach them like a human being, like a peer, and not like you're a fan, like where you're just like worshiping the ground, because it's weird. It's weird to be overly praised to the point where like, oh, you don't look at me as a human being. Like it's okay to be a huge fan of people's work, 100%. You can be a fan of their work, but if you approach somebody in a business setting in an unprofessional manner, which is fandom, unfortunately, you're not gonna. It's not going to be beneficial to them because it's just like, well, you're just going to like everything I like, and you're not going to like. Obviously,
you gotta like be able to portray like your fandom in a way that's like effective.
It's a part of you. It's not
exactly. Like you can talk to them about their music, like like you're like like you have to actually be able to like have a conversation that this is your favorite album for this reason. I like ask them like why you made this choice or whatever, things like that, as opposed to just being like, oh my gosh, this album changed my. I think they'll appreciate that if you say that, but it's not quite the same thing as being.
Yeah, but like if every other word, it's like that Chris Farley with like, you know, when he interviews people and he's like, you remember when you did this? That was cool, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's a little more. You can be a little more intricate than that, though. You could be like.
Without a doubt,
like, that was a really cool like vocal riff you did on this one song, and I think it's cool the way you called back to it on another song. And things like you gotta like I think be a little deeper than just be like this is so cool.
Like constructive, like actually
exactly be perceptive, and like I think they'll actually be.
Yeah, because me and Mark have been friends on the internet since like 2019 is when I kind of reactivated and kind of got into music stuff. And there's just an unspoken bond. It's not like me and Mark got in a group chat or just like a DM and like, hey, bro, if you share my shit, will you share my shit? And like, it was never like that. It was just like, I shared his shit. He shared my shit. And it was just like, oh, this dude's cool. He shares my shit. I should probably share his shit. And then it becomes conversations where it's like, hey, bro, you do like mixing and stuff, and we're talking prices. And then all of a sudden, like, are you gonna go to this show? I could try. Like, hit me up with ticket information. I'll try to go. And like, I've talked to Mark. I've talked to people that are going to shows. I've tried to go to Arson Choir shows. I've almost been on bills with Arson Choir. So it's just like, just making friends within your scene is a wise move, and just like be respectful. Like I act like an idiot on the internet. I wouldn't do that to Mark, because like even like I'll just do it to some random stranger and then look it up afterwards and be like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have been dumb to them. But
that's how I felt when I reached out to you, Ryan. I was like, man, am I introducing too much stupidity too soon?
See, like you got to realize I do act like an idiot on the internet, but I don't do it to people in my local scene. Like literally, there's no band drama. Like people in my local scene, I am aware that in my local scene, I am that guy that gets a lot of attention. But I've never beefed with anybody in my own scene for a reason, because they're local. They can come up and kick my ass if they want. Like,
so you're waiting for that diss track.
Yeah, be respectful to the people that you share an actual stage with, is my advice. Like, yeah, I mean, goofy online and like kind of tease and make memes and like tag bands and stuff that could be maybe not flattering, because people do make memes of bands where it's just like haha hee hee, like that happened to you, that was unfortunate. And you can rattle musicians real easily if you critique an album they're on or make fun of their
Musicians are
music.
sensitive.
We're all sensitive, we're musicians. I think Ben said
That's
it
why
best.
exactly. That's why I think that's why we're effective musicians. Some of us. I
Yeah,
don't know if I would be, but
we're all
because
sensitive.
we're
We are.
sensitive, we pick up on things and we feel
Yeah.
things, and we have to re-feel them later on as we
Yeah.
write it into music.
Well, I
We
think
write a
there's
shrine ritual tribute song, and we have to relive these emotions constantly over and over
Exactly.
again.
there was a
So
really
Over and
good,
over and over again. It never ends.
Yeah,
there was a really good comedian that had said something like that. That was said, you can't be an artist with thick skin. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Those two things don't go together.
yeah,
Your art is a reflection of you, and you can't have thick skin and expect to be successful, because then you're not revealing anything of yourself.
And
Yeah.
it would be really hard to play
Good point.
instruments if your skin was really thick too.
yeah.
Just completely
And
callous.
Maybe drums that might work because then it would be harder to, because then you wouldn't get blisters as badly. But like everything
Yeah.
else, yeah.
And my
Imagine if your
advice,
fingers just had thick skin between them.
You could probably just use them as drumsticks.
this motherfucker. We, as my homie Ben here said once to me in a glorious piece of advice, if I wasn't if I was a musician, like do you think I would like be like super qualified? Like if I wasn't sad and depressed about my life, I'd probably be like a rocket scientist or something. But I'm like, I'm sad, make music, like, duh. But
Exactly.
to echo on like
The
what
people
Mark
who
said,
got their shit together and can just let
Yeah.
shit go off their back, they just work 9 to 5s and
yeah, they're fine.
live,
don't-
and
don't-
they get to be happy with their wives and their husbands and their children, and
you're gonna run into and if you are a musician and you were in a music world and you were in a music scene, you're going to run into people who are sensitive and who are going to like have problems. Most of the time, 100% of the time, you are supposed to just not engage and just be peaceful, be respectful, mind your P's and Q's. Like as
Remember who you're
musicians
talking to.
treat musicians with respect. So if you're going to like talk shit, make memes, or do whatever, it comes in like that's part of the territory. Like Tired Violence, there's a corrupted episode, but we kind of went over this where it's just like you can be a meme guy, you can make polls or whatever. You can't do that forever though. You can't be the clown that makes fun of everybody, because it's gonna hurt feelings eventually, and people will get sourpuss, and you can ruin opportunities for yourself in the scene. So if you want to do that stuff, like be as lighthearted, be a good person, it's a joke, it's a meme, like don't beef with people, don't engage it and get like violent. Yeah,
there's gonna probably be people who like take things too far, or like and you didn't mean it, but like at the same time, like it's kind of almost on you because you kind of put them in the situation where they felt like you went too far, I guess is the thing. What I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's like so just be courteous and respectful. And I mean it's people want to build up a community of artists. I mean, I think that's kind of like what this has kind of almost become, is that we realize that there's a really like Dance Gavin Dance is cool and whatnot, like they're always going to be like one of our favorites, but like the bands that are associated, the community of bands that get associated with them, I think are really interesting, and they have really great stories. And I think that's kind of where I think that's like a better place to put our energy, because than just talk about Dance Gavin Dance all the time, because it's a great community of people that I think deserve the spotlight. So and so
but every band
but you only get to know about the community if you put yourself out there and like kind of like
join.
You got to find the community, I guess.
Be a part of the culture and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
Every scene, like Dance Gavin Dance's scene, that's how this podcast started. We were Dance Gavin Dance. We were formed through Swan Posting. We've had to be a part of that community, and we still are, and we choose to be. And like it can get rough. It can get rough in the scene because people talk shit, and it's just like take that shit, like take it. most of the time you're gonna want to talk shit back, and 9 times out of 10, it ain't worth it. Just take it, dude. It's just like, and being silent, stoic, and just like letting it fall off your back, or just like turning it on them. Like we had Dropout Kings and Tired Violence say, like, you can switch it on people. If people are saying like this band sucks, you're like, yeah, I don't like that snare either myself. And you can try to make someone who's a hater a fan. You know what I mean? Someone that doesn't like you, engage them differently. Be friendly towards them. Compliment their hair.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think the other thing about it is there's a difference between people who are the listeners, fans, people, and like the bands. Because the bands, I think, matter. If you piss off listeners or fans or whatever, like, especially online stuff, like, it's negative, I guess. But like at the same time, a lot of these people aren't artists. A lot of them are just people who are trying to engage in things like drama and shit like that online. So, and I mean, there's like, obviously you got to keep yourself in check and not feed into it and not like put yourself in that situation. But like, yeah, a lot of people are online who just want to start drama, and they kind of want people to like react in like the most nuclear way possible too on the other end. Like that's what they really want. And they want, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like the difference between being a
they
musician.
want the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
And not the spectacle of your music. They want the spectacle of like
your reaction.
They want the reality TV is what they want. They want the reality TV, and especially if they can get involved in the reality TV, that's what they want.
Yeah.
And my advice,
yeah, you need to use the age-old sentence: separate the art from the artist, because you are an artist, and what you do with the band is what you do with the band. And when you're in the band, you're batting cages, and that's you. When you're at home, you're Ben. You know, you got to create that separation. And if people try to come at you in a good or positive way, and it could be overly positive to an obsessive level, or it could be overly obsessive to a negative level, always keep it at an arm's distance, because you are an artist and this is just a reflection of your work. So don't let people get too like, don't let their emotions like affect you, because you're always going to be you. Stay humble and stay close to the ground, because if you float too high, the wings on your wax wings melt, all that shit. Icarus, I don't know, random bullshit, metaphor, allegory, whatever you want to call it. But my advice would just be like, always keep it in perspective. Step back a little bit sometimes and look at the situation differently.
Exactly.
And try to see where other people are coming from, because perspective is everybody.
Definitely, whenever people come at you, like, just kind of take a step back and be like, do I really want, like, try to be understanding of other people. And also just, you don't even have to engage with stuff too. You can just be like, okay, you're crazy.
Is it worth my time, kind of thing?
Exactly. I mean, it's like real life. Like if you were like out and someone started like fucking with you, like, I mean, not like they were like talking shit for no reason. Like, I guess some people will like kick their ass maybe, but like if you're out with like, I don't know, like your girl and that happens, like, do you really want to start a scene, or do you just want to like leave, I guess?
Yeah, I'd rather just go to where I wanted to go and just let that person have their bad day.
Like, it sucks that happens, but it's like that's on them, not you. And you don't have you can make it on you if you want to get involved, but like, yeah, it's so a lot of this stuff is just basically be a normal, well-adjusted, good person, basically.
Act as Cuban as possible. Yeah. Like you're saying, keep your ego in check and almost clock in, clock out with it every now and then. So like you go home and after a bad show and you're like, oh, Ben from Batting Cages put on a terrible show. It's like, that sucked. Let me go back to what I was doing before I clocked into music, right?
I mean, it's, if you put on a better show next time, that's progress. Might as well. I mean, things are like, we put on bad episodes before. we just kind of
roll with
keep
it.
doing it. Yeah, it's all you can really
Hard.
do, I guess.
You got to roll with them punches, man, because it's not about how hard you hit people. It's about how hard you can get hit. Just turn the cheek and keep moving forward, man, because a lot of time it's just keep your head down and keep going strong, because as long as you stay persistent, consistent, and just constantly insisting on persisting, you're going to do that. That's all it is.
Oh, say that 3 times fast, dude. That was great.
Insist to persist. It's,
Bars.
consistent, persistence are just very powerful, dude. Like just staying with it, determination, ambition, like these words, they mean stuff. Like just innovate it in your own way for your band. And like, hey, like me, Mark, like we bust our ass, man, for like 300, 400 monthly listeners. And it's just like, it takes work. It takes time and it takes work. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of everything I've ever accomplished in streaming numbers and anything I've done musically. I will never disown my own music. Like I love everything I did with Stay Still. And
Awesome,
everything
man.
we do with the Angel Like Expression. I'll never disown my own music. Like that's it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of like flyer shares, and those memories will always be precious to me. And like having cool memories with like Mark Motley over here of the Arson Choir and wanting to still play a show with him after all these years, like I still like I get giddy thinking about it,
That's cool, man. That's cool. That's cool. And I think that's something I've tried to really get myself into the mindset of like nothing is truly a waste of time. Even when you got to go clock into a job, you learn how to work hard at a normal 9 to 5, and you can work hard in their studio and stuff like that. So that's cool, man. Yo, whose dog is barking?
Mine. They've been fucking going nuts the whole day.
Hey,
Dude, what
he's all
dog is
right.
it?
A puppy. He's a
He
puppy.
just wants to get interviewed too.
Here,
Hey,
let's interview
puppy.
my dog.
That's
Here,
what it is.
this is Taco.
Hi, Taco. Hi, Taco. He gets his 5 minutes of fame. This is the rest of the episode. We're just gonna let Taco.
This is why you got to watch your stuff on YouTube, but also like listen to it on whatever you listen to podcasts to. Just do both. Listen to everything twice, maybe 3 times. You got Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Oh snap! Have multiple multimedia devices playing at the same. You can't even hear it or understand it, but like have it going. It adds to the lore.
There's because
one causing all the issues.
I guess the thing is, you kind of almost have to like maybe do something differently in your visuals, but also like I don't even know what we would do for it to matter on YouTube, but also like YouTube's just good to have. I don't know, man. We're just gonna take over where we can take over, I guess. But Ryan's doing really good on YouTube, though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, do y'all have any questions for me by any chance? Or like any advice or anything?
I mean, if you could work with anybody, go on tour with anybody, like, I mean, even like if you guys are like have influences for Batting Cages, like who is the band that you're like, damn, I want to do that. I want to be just like that. I wish I was like that band, or not even like on a, like a copycat or mimic level, but just somebody you watched and you're just like, fuck, like this makes it like that's what I want to be doing.
Oh, cool, man. I was obviously like the Dance Gavin Dance. We're very much in like the swancore kind of sound. I cannot hit those Tillian vocals, dude. No matter how hard I try,
falsetto and head voice. Work on your chest voice, then work on your falsetto, and then you can kind of get like a mix mash for your head voice.
I can hit the notes, but I can't like do the Tillian shit. But I'm trying to do my own thing with it. But definitely Dance Gavin Dance is such a beautiful influence, especially on my guitarist Kane. He's spectacular, and he was super pumped you guys did that with the Fall of Troy, dude. I mean, he worships that man.
Oh, dude. Thomas is awesome, man.
He was so cool. He was so down to earth too.
Oh yeah. And that was kind of a weird episode because like we were trying to get him on for a while and he kind of like I wouldn't say stood us up, but he kept rescheduling or something. And so we were kind of like, oh.
Does he want to do it kind of thing? Like after the third or fourth
Exactly. And but then
time,
we
it's
do
like,
it, and then he's like such a cool dude. And it's just like it was just, his schedule's busy because of was the band not pushover, what's the other band he has that's not the Fall of Troy or Chiodos? Forgot. But they were playing a show in Seattle and a bunch of people had come into town to see them. So that kind of got in the way. And I mean it all works out. And I mean, and that was a really awesome episode. I think we all had a good time on it. So
that's awesome. That's sick. I would love. Also, have you guys seen like Polyphia just dropped a new track? I don't know if y'all like Polyphia or anything like that.
I like Polyphia. I have not had a second to check it out because it's just been kind of a grind lately.
you've been on the hustle. You've been on the hustle.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you know who Animal Jam is, but we just did our first in-person interview. They're like a Swancore-ish band out of like Denton, Fort Worth area.
Oh, sick! You did it in person?
Yeah.
Nice.
And we did that on Sunday morning, so I had to get that all planned out and stuff, and plus all the other stuff happening, and yeah, it's I don't know. I guess it's just been busy, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out when I get a chance. Plus,
awesome.
you gotta listen.
What, you got some homework for me?
Oh, I was gonna say you just gotta listen to like bands constantly because you're just bringing people on. So you gotta, all right, I gotta get really into this band this week, and so sometimes I don't have the chance to listen to what I want to listen to, but get there eventually.
I guess as an interviewer, yeah, a lot of people don't think about how much studying y'all have to do. It's like studying for a test almost. How much you have to understand about the person.
It kind of depends, I guess. Like, I wouldn't say it's like studying for, well, at first it was like studying for a test, but now it's like you kind of get into like the groove of doing it and like how to do it effectively and really quickly. And so it's not as bad, but you still gotta like, I mean, it's like there's bands that have like, 10 albums over like years and like a bunch of lineup changes in history.
Yeah.
Like Thomas Harag has, he has like 10 with Fall of Troy, an album with Chiodos, a bunch of other projects and stuff. And it's just, yeah. But I mean, but I really like doing like bands that are just popped up because, well, I mean, not just because they have less songs, but they're usually pretty interesting to talk to because it's kind of like just talking with your friends about music because
they're just chill. They're just trying to make it happen too.
Absolutely.
That's cool. I feel like I want to get my band into a lot of music videos and stuff like that. Do you guys have any tips on like any people or homies y'all know for music videos, or even if you're gonna do a DIY? What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, I guess I could try to put you up with the guy who just did the in-person interview because he did an interview. Yeah, he did a music video for the band that was before Animal Jam. And I mean, I guess it looks pretty. I haven't actually watched it yet because I just got it last night. But I think from the pictures I've seen, it looks like it's going to come out well. So
there you go.
But yeah, I think his name is Caleb Baker.
Cool, man. And yeah,
Dallas area.
Awesome, because I've kind of seen like nowadays the visual is almost as or if not more important than the music itself on this online community.
Yeah, it's music videos are kind of like in an interesting spot right now for sure.
If I had any advice for you, bro, I'd say just get a camera and learn to edit and learn as much as you can yourself, because I'm sure these guys will kind of say the same thing, is content is key. If you're able to put something out consistently and of passable quality, it doesn't even have to be great quality. Like your phone can shoot a lot of really good quality videos. Don't be afraid to just try it out. And there's a lot of stuff that I've seen that's being shot with iPhones that's being shot with really cheap, whatever cameras and just a light, and you can get a lot done.
Just make it passable, huh? Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I like your dog parrot, by the way. Awesome.
Yeah, right. This guy, he won't shut up, so he has to be up here.
Free pillow and everything. Okay.
But I mean, definitely check out a lot of the YouTube creators, a lot of guys that are posting regularly, and kind of, see what method they're going by, and see what kind of works for them, and go with it. And you can get a lot done with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Good, because Lord knows I do not have a lot of money, so that's good. That's good to do.
Yeah, just get creative.
Okay.
Claymation.
Awesome. Claymation. Just dedicate your hours into learning how to claymate. Yeah. I'll just release our next song. It'll just be a 30-second song. So the claymation is not going to last that long.
That's still going to take hours.
Yeah, I know. Just a little interlude though. That'd be sick. How much longer do y'all want to hang out? Because I'm probably going to go hit the gym with my girlfriend here pretty soon. Is y'all cool with that?
I mean, I definitely got to start editing that video I just got from Animal Jam.
If Mark wants anything else to say, if he wants to promote his show, you got any shows coming up, or if you guys got anything you want to promote, yeah, I'm cool with cut. It's 2 hours. That's a good episode.
I do the same thing that I always do. So for me, it's thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Anytime somebody can take a few minutes out of their day to talk about my shitty band, I fully love you guys and appreciate you for it. I always say, I've said it many times, the best thing you can do, it takes 2 seconds to share music, to share a band, to do a post for a band. It takes very little to no effort, and you might turn somebody on to their new favorite band. And so please, keep this thing going. You guys are doing a great job doing that. Check out bands like Steak Sauce Mustache, The Sound That Ends Creation, Takers Leavers, Differences, all great dudes, all good people. And
I love Gene. Gene's awesome from Differences.
He's a beautiful person. He's a beautiful man, and I appreciate the hell out of him, and I appreciate the hell out of you guys.
Gene does a very good British accent. Me and him just talk like British people to each other. It's fun.
Well, you're not like British person, Ryan. You are British.
That's why I got the mustache there, mate. Damn it, I went over there into the Australian when I should be going into British. You gotta get rid of your teas. But yeah, I'm good on calling it. Thank you, Ben from Batting Cages. Thank you, Mark from the Arson Choir. Thank you, Cash of the Demo Team Podcast. And as always, thank you to our partner in this partnership, Ghost Killer Entertainment.
Woo!
So thanks to the Bled.
Thanks to the Bled. Yeah, Jeremy Talley, thank you. I'm already getting hit up by Brandon of American Standards. Jeremy had a great time, and he had a lot of fun, and he wants to come back really bad with Brandon. And I'm giving away insiders dirt sheet secrets right here on my show, because we all watch wrestling and we like to do that fake shit online. We like to pretend. We like to do promotional type gimmick where you fake people out.
What do you mean promote? What do you mean fake people out? We're actually gonna wrestle, Ryan.
Yeah, we are actually gonna wrestle. We actually mean everything we say online. We're not in character. We're not content creators who create jokes and memes and we're just fake. We're real people. We really
just woke up like this.
Yeah. If I don't have Kurt Travis, Eternity Forever blasting through my ears all day, all night, I die. I'm gonna kill people. Oh wait, no, I should probably never say that.
They're gonna cut that out and says, "I'm gonna kill people."
He's got blackmail now.
Wait, blurt it out.
I just said it too.
You're gonna kill people, Ryan. Don't kill people. Ryan's gonna kill people. Oh no! Take this context.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone cuts this out and says, "Look who Ryan said online."
All right, guys. Thank you again.
Okay.
I appreciate y'all.
Let's
we'll cut the fuck out of this end.
Yeah.
Hey, leaving that part where
Don't
I
kill
showed my
anyone.
dog.
That's the other thing about the scene. Don't kill anyone.
No, nothing but literally what I just said. That's like the worst thing I've probably said on this show. So I'll probably cut that out.
All right.
Everybody,
All right.
thank you. We'll probably cut it at the Ghost Killer Entertainment. So yeah, you guys have a good day, man. Take
You
care.
just said killer.
Killer. Oh
Ryan's
shit.
a murderer.
Oh god. Oh man, why
we entertain each other a little too much, I think.
Chris Benoit. I'm
Oh
just
God.
All right. I'm gonna cut this.
Yeah.